So the basics of light. All right. Sometimes we get caught up in the end goal of using light and we skip the actual biological, physiological mechanisms occurring with the interaction of light and cells that then lead to all the downstream benefits. So I'm often asked, will light help with a muscle tear, or can light help with chronic pain, period cramping, erectile dysfunction, wrinkles, hair loss, dementia, on down the list? And the answer to all of these is yes. So here's the problem. When you have something that seems to work so well on so many issues, the general thought is it's bullshit. It's snake oil. It's marketing hype. I get it. So let's delve deeper into light to understand why it's able to benefit so many ailments. So let's take all the issues I just named. What does a muscle tear have in common with dementia? How can one thing, i.e., light, benefit both? So let's first look at what light does, how it does it, and then we can better understand why it can benefit vastly different issues. So, human body consists of 11 systems. Each system is made up of organs. Each organ is made up of cells. So your body has literally over 37 trillion cells. Each one of them is programmed to perform thousands of functions daily. So every single cell, minus red blood cells, has one component in common. That's the mitochondria. Each cell has 100 up to 10,000 of mitochondria. Remember back in high school, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So it takes the air we breathe, the food we eat, combines them to produce the energy that your cells need to carry out, over 90% of our, daily function. So the cellular energy produced by the mitochondria is called ATP. Each cell can produce over 10 million ATP daily. So that's a lot of ATP that the body's producing. Mitochondria is fascinating. So, and they're not just simple power generators. They perform a host of functions that we're learning. So one study found that mitochondria can actually leave the cell, find another cell with damaged mitochondria, form a bridge with it, and transfer healing ions to it. So, what they also found is that even though red blood cells don't contain mitochondria, mitochondria is free floating in our bloodstream. So, it's ready to aid when needed. So, when things are not going well with our body, like our cells are exposed to conditions that can cause the production of free radicals. So, small doses, free radicals such as reactive oxygen species, nitric oxide, are essential. Exercise creates free radicals. Light does the same. Sauna, cold plunge create free radicals, small beneficial doses. So, reactive oxygen species, or ROS, has many important roles. So, activating the immune system, ensuring proper signaling, regulating cell proliferation, signaling back to the mitochondria. So, nitric oxide, potent signaling protein, stimulates hormone release, regulates neurotransmission, neuroprotective effects, neuroplasticity, which is hugely important in the role of memory. Nitric oxide reduces blood pressure, relaxes us by shifting us away from that fight or flight sympathetic to more the calming parasympathetic. But we can overdo the production through too much stress, chemicals, medication, poor digestion, infectious agents, nutritional imbalances, lack of oxygen. Too many free radicals will clog up the mitochondrial process, and that results in less ATP production, increased stress on the cells, and eventually damage and potential premature cell death. So, our cells, when healthy, will naturally neutralize these free radicals. But we need good sleep, low stress, good diet, physical activity, low amounts of chemicals. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, that seems like a really tall order. Now, we've all heard of oxidative stress. This is simply the imbalance of these free radicals. So it could be too much or too little. So it can be caused by or lead to mitochondrial dysfunction. So if the mitochondria are not functioning properly, There's going to be an increase in too much ROS. That ROS that clogs the mitochondria will lead to less production of ATP. So it's a vicious cycle that continues to feed itself. When you cut an apple and let it sit out, it browns quickly. That's oxidative stress. So imagine if that's going on in your cells. Unresolved oxidative stress is a key component in the inflammatory stage of acute and chronic injury. It accelerates the aging process. It's the underlying trigger of most diseases, most degenerative conditions. So Parkinson's, MS, Alzheimer's, gene mutations leading to cancer, heart disease, eye disease, autoimmune disease, kidney disease, lung disease, diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. Coincidentally, all of these listed are also considered mitochondrial dysfunction. So now let's turn to the light. Our cells respond to light similar to plants. Very specific wavelengths of light, particularly those in the red and near infrared, get absorbed by our cells within the mitochondria, specifically cytochrome C oxidase, and also around the mitochondria. So when they're absorbed, the light displaces that free radical, allowing for an increase in oxygen absorption and thus an increased production of ATP energy. So the free radicals, like nitric oxide, is released into our bloodstream. That leads to vasodilation, so an increase in our blood capillaries. So that leading to a reduction in cellular strength, a reduction in oxidative stress, that triggers a cascade of events that stimulate repair. So let's break it down into 3 stages. And stage 1 is the short term of light. Nitric oxide release leading to that vasodilation, increased ATP production, and that brief release of reactive oxygen species. So this is going to lead to increased blood flow, increased lymphatic flow, increased oxygen, and a decrease in edema. The next stage, protection, upregulating of anti-apoptotic proteins, meaning the cells will live longer. A decrease in excitotoxicity, an increase in antioxidants, a decrease in inflammation. The final stage is repair. So nerves, neurotropins, neurogenesis, meaning the creation of new neurons, synaptogenesis. With the blood vessels, we're going to see angiogenesis. So new capillaries are going to be actually created. We're going to see an increase in growth factors, increase in DNA synthesis, increase in stem cell differentiation. So this is where we see more long-term benefits as opposed to, that stage 1, the short term. So these stage 3 can last days, even weeks. So even though light is basically only doing, a couple things, we can see how the downstream or the cascade of effect of just that basic increase in ATP, reactive oxygen species, nitric oxide, can lead to dramatic positive changes to that muscle tear or to that skin issue or to Alzheimer's disease. So when you ask if light will benefit a certain ailment, first you ask yourself, will increased cellular activity benefit the issue? Will decreased inflammation benefit the issue? Will cellular repair benefit the issue? So almost invariably, the answer will be yes. So use your stinking light. All right, take care. See you next time.